Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and back with another video. As you can tell from the title, this video is going to be a little bit on the serious side, a little graphic. I will be sharing some pictures throughout. I wanted to share my fibroid journey. I know that a lot of people, when I shared recently what had happened to me in August, a lot of people, I mean, more than I even expected, a lot of people could relate to me. I didn't realize so many other young women my age had suffered with uterine fibroids, whether in the past or currently. Before I even get into it, please pay attention to your reproductive health. Don't ignore anything in your body that does not feel right, that does not feel normal. If your periods used to be light and now they're heavy, do not ignore that. If your periods, you know, used to be not very painful and now they're severely painful, do not ignore that. It could be a sign that there is something else going on that you should go get checked and do so as soon as possible. Okay, I kid you not, I was definitely one of those people. But we'll go through the timeline of everything that I personally went through, and you know, so that you guys can have more of an understanding of just how I got to that point in August to where shit basically hit the fan. So before I get started, y'all already know I gotta pour up some wine. I am drinking the California Roots Red Blend. As you can see, it's been being drank. It's been being drunk. It's been being drinked. Okay, whatever. I've been drinking it. Okay, this is California Roots Red Blend. You can get these at Target. They are $5 a bottle, and baby, they get the job done, period. So, fibroids. What are uterine fibroids? So, uterine fibroids are usually benign tumors that line the uterine region. I'm gonna tell y'all the types of uterine fibroids, and then I'll tell you the ones that I have. They're intramural fibroids. Those grow within the muscular uterine wall, so in the muscle. There are submucosal fibroids, which grow into the uterine cavity. And then there are subserosal fibroids, which those kind of grow on the outside of the uterus. So I am suffering from submucosal fibroids. So those are the ones that are inside the uterine cavity. This is a uterus right here. You see the ones that are closer to the inside? Those are the ones that I have right here. So with submucosal fibroids, they tend to cause more of the debilitating symptoms because they are right in that uterine cavity. I want to say it was like fall of 2019 and I was having sharp shooting pains like just randomly, and it didn't even have to be like on my period. It would just be out of nowhere sharp shooting pains in my uterine area. I decided to go get checked out in New York by an OBGYN, and basically the doctor told me, you have uterine fibroids. I do work in women's health, so I knew what they were, but I was just kind of like unsure about what they could really do to my body. At that point, the doctor told me that I didn't have to really worry too much about it. They were pretty small, to just continue taking my birth control pills because those help with uterine fibroids, or so they say. Did that, cool, whatever the case is. They didn't really bother me too much more. I have always had pretty painful periods. Like my cramps have always been pretty bad. My period cramps have become so debilitating where I literally cannot do anything. No pain medication works for me, really and truly. So anyway, that was that. I went back to get them checked maybe like a couple months later because again, I was having painful intercourse, and I was like, okay, something is not okay. I went to the doctor again. They did the transvaginal ultrasound. I went to a different doctor this time here in Atlanta. She did a transvaginal ultrasound on me, and she told me that my fibroids were pretty much like had dissolved. These were her words. She did see some little cysts on my uterus. After that, I really didn't have any more problems. So I was like, okay, well, I guess like yeah, that was the cyst bursting. It burst, and we just gonna move on with life. This year, 2022, my periods have been absolutely horrible. excruciatingly painful, super duper heavy. I had to stop wearing tampons. I mean, I would literally put in a tampon and be changing out the tampon in the next 15 minutes. You're a guy watching this, is obviously TMI. That's how heavy it got within this past year. Cramps were super duper severe. I know many of you women can relate to me. Like, it's really horrible. You just can't even do anything like with yourself because you're in that much discomfort, you're in that much pain, and everything is just everything is just horrible. So August, I was on my travel assignment in Virginia. So I went to New York for the weekend and I was driving back to Virginia. I think I had like a week left on my assignment. Got to Maryland. So let me tell you, so I stopped birth control beginning of August. So I know when you like abruptly stop birth control, you can have what's called withdrawal bleeding, which is just some abnormal bleeding between, like, it's not your period. I was having some spotting, some light bleeding, and I was like, okay, like, you know, just came off the pills, you know, didn't really think nothing of it, whatever. I got to Maryland about 3.5, 4 hours into my drive, y'all. I am bleeding, like full blown. It's like uncontrollable. I remember calling my mom in Maryland because I'm like, Mom, I'm about to pull over to a gas station. I literally am like bleeding really heavy and this is not normal. Like, I need to stop, blah, blah, blah. I'm like panicking, yo. Now, I am a postpartum nurse. We deal with vaginal bleeding primarily. Like, these women just had babies. So when I tell my patients, like, make sure that you're not saturating a pad in less than 1 hour, make sure you're not passing clots of a certain size. So for me to be bleeding like this, and this is not my period, I had had my period a couple weeks prior. I ain't have no baby, no trauma to my vagina. This is not normal. And that's when I knew that I needed to get help right away. I promise you, this was the scariest moment of my life. And to be alone, to be driving at that when all of this is happening. And then I'm in a state that I don't even live in Maryland. I'm not from there, whatever, whatever. Now, by the grace of God, my friend Brittany, she lives in Maryland. My mom is on the phone with me and I'm just like hysterically crying at this point because as I'm talking to her on the phone, the blood is literally like pouring down. It's like pouring into my seat. It's pooling in my lap. I am hemorrhaging right now. Down to the shorts, the towel, and into the car actual seat. Pissed, okay? My friend came, she got me, her and her boyfriend. They took me to the ER. She happened to live right by the ED. Saw me immediately because I walked into that emergency room with blood gushing down my legs. The first question they asked me was, oh my God, how far along were you? I was like, I am not pregnant. I promise you that. Ain't nothing in this womb. Did labs on me. They started an IV. They rushed me into ultrasound. She did an abdominal ultrasound, which is on the top. And then she did a transvaginal inside. When she did the abdominal ultrasound on me, I was in excruciating pain. I was literally, I was like squealing in pain. It hurt so bad. I was crying hysterically. When I tell you it was traumatizing, it was absolutely freaking traumatizing. I was just laying there, just like praying. I was really praying that it wasn't anything like detrimental or whatever the case is. Everything was running through my mind that was bad. Because, you know, if you don't stop uterine bleeding, you can end up getting an emergency hysterectomy. So I was just like thinking all the negative things. And then of course I work in the fields where I see all these things happen. So I'm just thinking of all the crazy things that could possibly happen. It was bad, y'all, and I was still continuing to bleed and bleed and bleed. Get you some friends that will show up for you in times like that. Y'all be having friends for the turn up. When you down and out and you in the hospital, make sure you got some friends that'll pull up, drop everything to come get you situated. Got me hooked up to the acid that was running into my IV to slow the bleeding. I was getting IV TXA and was still bleeding at the rate that I was bleeding when I first got to the hospital. The doctor finally comes in and he tells me, he's like, you have uterine fibroids. And I was like, okay. He said you have 3 uterine fibroids and one of them is necrotic. It is degenerating, and so this process of degeneration or breaking down inside of you is what is causing all of this bleeding, pain, and discomfort. There's not enough blood supply for them to continue to live on. One of them will eventually degenerate. All 3 of them cannot live off my little uterine blood. Okay, I've had some scary moments, but nothing tops that at all. The good thing about it though is I knew when to escalate the situation because of the field that I'm in. So yeah, y'all, that is pretty much what had happened in August. And yeah, I ended my contract a week early. I let them know what happened and everything. They were super duper okay with everything. So Took me weeks, damn near almost a month and some change to get a follow-up appointment, y'all. It was really wild. So finally got a follow-up appointment with a doctor here in Atlanta whom I love. So happy that I found him. He was really attentive to all my concerns. He just gave me all the options from here on out. As far as next steps when it comes to the whole fibroid thing, I definitely would like to get surgery. The goal is to do a laparoscopic procedure to get these bad boys sucked out and just see if that helps ease some of my discomfort with my cycles. I have way too many more periods left in this lifetime, God's willing, God spare my life, to be dealing with this every month, all this pain and bleeding and discomfort where I can't even freaking do anything. Booty cramps, so random and sudden, like spasm in my asshole, y'all. Back pain, of course, just the heavy bleeding, the clotted blood, constipation, y'all. Constipation and fibroids is so real. Like, I could not hold my urine. Yeah, it's just like too much. I'm just ready for it all to be over. Sometimes I worry about like my fertility, like how fibroids will impact me wanting to get pregnant one day. It's just a lot to think about. But I think that the biggest takeaway from this all that I really urge women and men, honestly, don't take your reproductive health for granted. And if you feel like something is off, ladies, especially if you feel like something is off, you know your body best, go and get seen by a doctor. If you guys enjoyed today's video, a little bit different kind of content for the channel. Hope this video helps somebody. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.